We are continuing on with lesson 811, and this is working on how to find the volume and area of geometric shapes. So we are going to start off with number one, which is figuring out the volume of this rectangular prism. Again, from yesterday's lesson, this prism is filled up with cubes. We call them cubic units. We want to know how many cubes make up this shape. So the volume of that. You can pretend that you can see each one of these little cubes and count them up, or there's a faster way that we talked about yesterday. And what is that formula? How do you figure out that volume? So to figure out the volume of a rectangular prism, it is the length times the width times the height, which is going, excuse me, up. So this number times this number times this number here. So please do that now and then write down the answer to the volume, and don't forget to say that it's in cubic units. Now you notice there's no measurements at all, so you're only going to say the number that you get and then write cubic units. So do that now, please. Okay, so I certainly hope this was very easy for you to do. The length again is 1, 2, 3 dots right here. So there's your 3. The width is 1, 2, 3, 4 dots that I made to show 4 cubes across the width. 3 times 4. And then the height is 1 layer, 2 layer, 3 layer going up, so that's times a 3. So that is 3 times 4, which is 12, 12 times 3, which is 36. This shape has a total of 36 cubes inside of it, so you need to say cubic units. Excuse me. Cubic units. All right, everyone clear on that? We can say cubic if you want to spell it out. Now, what if I only wanted the area? So let's talk about that green section. If I only want to know what this area is of green, do you remember how to solve that? I don't want the volume of the whole prism. I just want to know the green. Now, clearly, I can go through and count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. It's 12, but I don't want to do that. I want to know the formula. So how do you find the area of a rectangle? Write that down now, please. Pausing the video. And I hope you guys remember that the formula for area is just doing 2 numbers because it's flat. It's 2 dimensions. It's this line here, 1, 2, 3, and this line here, 1, 2, 3, 4. It's 3 times 4 will tell you 12 as we just added up. And this is the important thing to remember, and one thing that I've always taught my 6th graders in case they ever forget. When you think about volume and area, volume, boys and girls, is a 3D shape. Does not look 3D, like it's actually sticking up, like you can pick it up. This is like an accurate drawing. It's not weird. You know that this is supposed to be a prism. And if you just do area, which is that green section right there, that one is called 2D. It's 2 dimensions. It's not a 3D shape. If you just took away this white here and this gray here and you just saw this green, it would just look like a flat, rectangle of sorts. So this is one way to remember. If you're solving for area, it's 2D. It's 2 dimensions. I only need 2 dimensions, length and width. If something looks 3D, it looks like it's popping off of your screen, it's 3D. It has 3 dimensions, length and width and height now. So that's a good way to remember your formulas in case you ever feel confused, okay? So volume, again, has 3 measurements because it's a 3D shape. It looks like it's coming off your page. Area is only 2 dimensions. It's a 2-dimensional item, only needing 2, length and width. All right, so again, we said I'll get my dots back out, that going one way on the array is 1, 2, 3. So it's going to be 3 times. I'll pick a different color. I don't know if it's going to show up, but we'll try this one. 1. No, that's not going to show up. Is that going to show up? 1. Nope, these ones don't want to. Sorry. Pen time. Going this way will be 1, 2, 3, and 4. Okay, so it's 3 times 4, which gives you 12. So that's written out there. So now again, it's just asking you, so how do you find the volume? It just wants you to write down the formula, and that's it. How do you find the volume? We say V is equal to the length times the width times the height. Okay, that's your volume. So how is finding volume different from finding the area? What would you say about that? Volume is all the cubes, and area is just one. What do you guys call this? Do you guys remember what you call where it's just one little shape on a cube? Does anyone remember? It's a face. So you could say volume is hang on, let me just type it out. Sorry, so not to waste your time. There's a couple ways you can think about it. Basically, I said volume is what is inside this object versus area that is just one face. It's nothing that has to do with the inside. It's just the wrapping around, if you will. Another way to think about it is volume is 3 dimensions. Remember, length, width, height, but area is only 2 dimensions, just the length and the width, because there's no height. It's flat. It doesn't go up. So that's a good way to remember. I hope that helps. So we're going to write a formula for finding the volume of any rectangular prism, and we've done that. And that, again, is length times width times height. That's what you do for every single prism, okay? So let's go ahead and put that into practice. If this ice cube is shaped like a cube, its edge lengths are 2 centimeters. What is the volume of this cube? So don't freak out because they only give you one measurement. That's all you need because they gave you a big, huge hint. Do you see the hint? They told you it's a cube. So this is a cube. Its edge lengths, plural, are 2 centimeters. That's all you need. So what is the volume of the ice cube? And then what would be the formula for finding the volume of any cube, a dice or ice or whatever it might be? All right, so I'm going to give you a moment to think about that, and please make sure you're thinking about it because this is how your brain grows. So give it some time. Pausing now. All right, coming back after the pause, hopefully you were able to figure out that a cube has the same sides. Every single edge or side of a face, if you will, all those edges are the same. If it's 2 centimeters going this way, then it's 2 centimeters going this way, and it's 2 centimeters going back. That's what the whole magic of the cube is, so it's easy. So if you know that one of them is 2, what should your formula be? So it's 2 times 2 times 2, and excuse me, I put cubic by accident. Cubic's fine, excuse me, not units, I mean. Cubic centimeters, because they gave me the measurement. So 2 times 2 is 4. 4 times 2 is 8. So that's how you solve it. But you don't want to put that, well, the volume is equal to length times width times height, because that would imply, excuse me, that would imply that these are all 3 different measurements. The cube is always going to be the same. They're all going to be either 3, 3, 3, or 4, 4, 4, or 10, 10, 10, whatever. So what they've said, instead of doing a length times a width times a height, is that you just do side times side times side, is one way. If you don't like how long that takes, you can say this way. You can say it like that. That volume is equal to the sides cubed, or side times to the 3rd power, so it'd be side times side times side. This right here is exactly the same as this. It's just shorter. So the volume of that cube will be the sides, but 3 of them. So side times side times side. And don't mistake this as, oh, it's the number times 3. That's not how exponents work. It's saying it's side times side times side, which is 2 times 2 times 2. Okay? All right, so now we're going to find an unknown edge. Raul is building a planter. This is a box where you put soil in it and grow flowers. So he's building a planter in the shape of a rectangular prism. It has the length, which is here across the bottom, has a length of 4 feet. And then it gave us the height going that way of 2 feet. So, how wide should it be if it holds 24 cubic feet of soil? Explain how you found your answer. So we know we're solving for volume, and we know that the formula for volume is length times width times height. And it didn't give us all those numbers, it gave us some of them. We have our length, which is 4. Did it give us our width? Nope. So we don't know, so we're going to put times W. And then did it give us our height? Yep, it did right there. So our height is 2. And so we know that the volume is, says right there, 24. So we need to figure out what number is missing. Okay, off you go. Okay, there's 2 ways you can think about this. The first way is to just sort of do a guess and check what you know. And this is pretty easy. I know that there's some factors I can think about when I think about 24. So if I know that it's 4 times something, and then if I double that, it's going to give me 24. Well, I know that 4 times 3 gives me 12. And when I double that, because 12 times 2 is 24, that will work. So that's one way you can think about it. Some of you might have. Or if that makes you uncomfortable, you can just do 4 times 2, which is 8, and divide 24 by 8 to find a missing number. 24 divided by, because remember, that's the opposite operation. If you don't know what the number is, the opposite of multiplying is division. So again, 4 times 2 is 8. Take 24 divided by 8, and that gives you 3, because 3 times 8 is 24. Okay? That's how you could have found your answer. All right, this is your practice page, and I'm going to practice the first one with you, and then you'll be on your own for 9 and 10. So what it wants you to do is write a numerical expression for the volume. If you remember what an expression is, it does not involve an equal sign. It's just doing expression with the operations. No equal sign is needed yet. Then you're going to calculate the volume, and that's what you do on the bottom where you figure out the answer. So the expression is going to be, we have a 2 times a 4 times a 3. And then you're not done yet because it wants you, and this is totally up to you, to do associative property, to group the ones that you want to group together. Maybe you want to group with the parentheses, the 2 and the 4 together because you really like just to do 8 times 3. That's fine. You could put a parentheses, right here and here if you want. Now I was thinking, and that's fine, there's nothing wrong with that, but that's not how I work. I like to take care of the bigger number and get rid of that first. So I would have done 4 times 3 to get 12 and then double it. That just works easier in my head. So that's what I'm choosing to do. You don't have to. Don't put an equal sign because you're just writing an expression. However, you will solve it down here on the bottom. So whenever you have parentheses for the order of operations, you do that first. 4 times 3 is 12. 12 times 2 is 24. You can't just leave it there, though. It's not just a number. You have to look at the measurement, and our measurement is feet. So you're going to say cubic, feet. Okay? That's what you're supposed to do. This is your example for number 8. Please do that for number 9 and number 10. And when you're done with these two, come back to get your answers. Pausing now. Okay, so for checking your work, your expressions are all here. 2 times 5 times 6. 2 times 5 times 6. I chose to group these two because I want to make a 10. I always love to make a 10 is easier for me because 10 times 6 is 60, and it's so simple. You look at your unit of measurement and it's inches, so it's 60 cubic inches. This shape here, 5 times 10 times 5, written out here. I chose to group these because I like to have 50 because it's easy to do, and then I could drop the 0, do 5 times 5, which is 25, and then add that 0, so that's simple math for me. 250. 250 what? Cubic centimeters. Hopefully you found those easily as well. Let's move on to the next. Okay, this is basically what we did for the flower planter. You're going to figure out what the unknown dimension is in 11, 12, and 13. So we know that the answer is given here of 120 cubic meters, and they gave you 4 and 5. We're missing width. So you can either guess what number goes in here with multiplication, 4 times something, and then whatever that answer is, times it by 5, it will give you 120. Or you can say 4 times 5 is 20, and you could do 120 divided by 20, and that will give you this answer, okay? So you're going to be solving for the unknown, and this is easy. This is just all these numbers multiplied will give you that. So anywho, practice all 3 of these, and then we'll do the word problems last, okay? Pause the video now. Okay, checking your work to get to 100 cubic meters. I chose to do 6 times 5 first, which gave me 30, and that's easy for me because I can drop the 0, do 3 times 4, which is 12, add the 0 again, which is 120. So that is the missing number, 6 meters. Moving on to this one, I did the 4 times 3 first, which gave me 12, and that was easy because this was what I had to get to, so I know that that's times a 10 because it's just adding a 0, easy peasy. And this last one here is just multiplying straight up. 7 times 6, which is 42. 42 times 7 is 294. But this is the important part. I hope you remembered. You're not just writing the measurement anymore because these were the single dimensions. Meter, 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 inches, 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 centimeter, centimeter, centimeter. But up here you have to cube your answer. So I hope you remember to put cubic centimeters and not just centimeters. This is the kind of stuff that's going to get you on a 6th grade test, kids. I'm telling you, all the time when I was grading my kids' work in 6th grade, they would forget to put cubic, and they would get it wrong. So don't let that be you. All right, last ones, and we are done for today, I believe. Let me double check. Nope, we have one more problem. So we have three word problems, and we're done. Here we go. 14. A box shaped like a rectangular prism is 2 meters long, 2 meters wide, and has a height of 3 meters. What is the volume? Super simple. Pause your video now and solve that. Hopefully you remembered your formula again. Volume is length times width times height. 2 times 2 times 3. I hope you did the correct math, and you should have got 12 cubic meters. 2 times 2 is 4. 4 times 3 is 12. Okay, number 15. Fred's dog crate is 42 inches long, 24 inches wide, and has a height of 30 inches. What is the volume of the crate? All right, same thing. Just big math, bigger numbers, but it's same thing as the volume is equal to length times width times height. Pause the video now. I'm pausing the video here to give some of you a pep talk because I know that there is a good half the class or more that is happy to solve this and pumping their fists when they know they got it right. I really want every one of you to have that moment of feeling really proud of yourself that you got the same answer. So if you got this far and you're like, I don't want to multiply it, these are just big numbers, let's have a change in our mindset because I know how we get sometimes. We get tired and we don't want to do it, but don't be that. Don't do that. So do the math, 42, 24, 30, multiply them out. And if you are correct, you'll get this answer right here, 30,240. I really hope you persevered and you got this. And not that your calculator got it or that you waited for me to do it. You got to get that mindset, guys, of wanting to be proud of yourself, just like a whole bunch of you already are. So good job if you persevered and did that. All right, last one for the day, and we are all done. 16. The cargo hold of a truck has a height of 3 yards and is 5 yards wide. The volume of the cargo hold is listed as 240 cubic yards. So what is the length? Okay, guys, this is algebra. You are solving for the unknown. We don't know the length. So write out your formula with only length represented as a L and then solve for the unknown. Pause your video now. If you're unclear on what I meant by writing this out, write down the information that you know so that you can see it better. We know that the answer says the volume is listed as, so here's our volume. The length is what's missing, and I just changed it to a capital so you didn't think it was a 1. So our length is missing. We have 5, that was here for wide. Here's height, 3. So we have these numbers. 3 times 5 is 15. 15 times something is going to give me 240. If you're comfortable figuring that out, do it with multiplication. If you don't, do 240 divided by 15. Pause your video now and solve. So I didn't want to do the old guess and check, so I did division. I did 240 divided by 15, which gave me 16. So hopefully you guys found that as well. So what you want to say is length is equal to 16 because that's the missing answer up here. All right, that is it today, boys.